Hey everybody, welcome back to the studio. Today I'm going to show you how I get my 3D prints off of this machine and magically through the air over to my 3D printer right now. Okay, here we are. I'm going to show you basically where I'm getting my prints from. I am using Thingiverse. That is a service where creators who create print files, STL files, .stl files, will load their work onto this website. And most of these prints that I've taken off of this have been good quality. And let's go ahead. We're going to jump onto my screen here and put me up into the corner. And I'm going to show you something that I'm working on today as one of my projects. So I have my Hail Caesar game coming up, and then I also have future games I'm planning to play where we're dealing with ancient period. So we're not to the point where I'm dealing with a lot of stone buildings and brick buildings. We're dealing a lot with wood structures, structures made out of sod, structures made out of timber, right? And maybe a thatch roof, grass roof of some kind, even a sod roofs. So this is what I pulled up. I just typed in 28 millimeter hut, and this is what came up: Saxon Burr hut. Okay, I'm going to show you what it looks like finished. Just a small, simple house. You can see it is 28 millimeter. He should have put that here. So the craters are different. But if you scroll down here, I want you to see where you can click on Thing Details, and this is where you'll get some of the instructions. And there down here it does say 28 millimeter. He also makes a fort, a Burr fort buildings, so that's something I want to check out when I'm done with this print. It will tell you things like, do you need supports? Supports are if you have overhangs. If something is reaching over, like say a ballet dancer like I recently printed, I print that with supports, and it's just thin prints. As it prints up each layer, it keeps everything on a plane, so that as you get up to, in the case of a ballerina, her tutu or her skirt, the printer has a reference of where to print straight across, and then the supports just pull off. Maybe a little file cleanup, a little bit of your razor blade cleanup. Yeah, so that's where you'll see that. A lot of the creators will put that on here for you. And this is printed in PLA, so you want to kind of look for that if that's material that you're using, which is what most of us are going to use when we're printing on any type of hobby-based printer. Now, Qidi X-Maker is considered a commercial grade printer, and all other printers are considered commercial grade. So there's that. So we got a couple different options here on the files you'll see. So I can print this all at once. I really don't like to do large pieces like this all printing at once. I think it just takes too long. I like to do them separately, separate prints. That way I can keep everything centered. I just think the prints turn out better that way. I've had some issues where as the print head is going over to the other object to print, it can get off a little bit as far as dragging its initial print line around. So this is what I do. So it says here, you'll notice it says Thing Details, which we just went over. You got three thing files. And you'll see here, you can put it all at once. I would say if I had a higher grade printer that is really designed for really more printing multiple things, as a larger print bed, I might give this a try, but for me, I just like to keep it simple. So the first thing I did was I just clicked download, right? I want to start with the base of the hut, and then I'll come back and I will print the two roof sections separately. And then I'll put it together and prime it, paint it, and be ready to go. So once I clicked on download, which I've already done, I'm going to go down here and I'm going to show you the software that comes with my Qidi printer. It's basically Cura. It's Cura Pro. The company that makes the Qidi also makes the Cura printers. So over here I want to point out this is my Wi-Fi, where I've connected it with Wi-Fi so I can send it through the air. I don't have to mess with the thumb drive. Qidi does not use a mini SD card, which I think really is a bad idea. It's just too small. I use them for my little camera, but yeah, that's a different story. So I have it all set up with my new router. I just upgraded my home's router this year. It literally covers the basement, the whole home. It's actually overkill. I bought a router that was basically going to saturate the whole inside of my house, including the lower level, with Wi-Fi signal. So that's why I went that route. Plus, when we have guests at the home, the kids are home, there's a lot of demand for that Wi-Fi, and I got a newer unit, Asus. I've had an Asus. This is the newest, latest, greatest Asus, and it can handle a ton of bandwidth, right? So I've got that. So this makes this go pretty quick. And you can see here I've already dragged the file, but normally how I would do this, I'm going to go ahead and clear this file. I'm going to click clear bed plate. That's right over here in the edit. So in the file I can just open a new file, and I'm going to show you some of the files that I've downloaded. So I did a wolf for a friend earlier today. I printed 3 little 28mm wolves. There's the old hut file. Dog meat did not print. That was a dog file. So here's the thing with Thingiverse. You'll notice a lot of times if you pull up a print and it's a larger print, it'll show on your software here that it's large, and you try to scale it down to like a small scale. A lot of times that won't work when you go too small. When you're getting down to 15 mil to 28 mil scale, some of these prints will not translate to that small of a scale. You can cut them in half, I would say, to scale them down, but that's why I like to, when I get on my Thingiverse, I try to find the specific scale prints. 28mm, 15mm. Those are the only 2 scales I'm going to be printing in 99% of the time. And now that I have the 12-foot table, I'm going to be zeroing in on 28mm prints, right? So that makes it a little easier for me. But yeah, I've tried some other prints. Let's just go right back to my old hut. Let's double click him. You see, put it right here on my print bed. You have to click on the print, and you see I can move him around. This is where I could move him off to the left. I could insert a couple of like the roof tiles, or I could print something else if I wanted to, but I have found that my printer, it does it. I've printed the little pegs, these little mini pegs that go on my ship cards for Black Seas. I've got a file on my thumb drive where I can just print those whenever I want, right? Little things like that, it printed fine, and I think I could probably print this, but it just can make the print like 10 hours, 12 hours. I like to print something. This is going to be 5 hours. This portion, it's going to be 5 hours. I'll let it cool down. I'll come back down later. I'll get one of the roof tiles started, right? Maybe get up in the morning. It's getting later in the day. It's 3:08 Eastern Standard Time here. So it just depends if I'm starting in the morning, if I can get a whole project like this done in a day. And then you'll find as you spend more money on bigger and better printers, the print times will go down, right? Because the printers just got a little bit better componentry. Some of the printers are really tweaked to really print quick. So so you can click on this tab, then this tab that's for your scaling. This is where you can adjust the scaling, and I'm going to show you real quick how I can shrink him to little. See how he goes little, goes to big. Now something simple like this, like a square structure, a hut, you know, you can scale it down. Now there's some conversion charts, but this can get a little nitty gritty on trying to match the scale. It's you basically look at this XYZ axis that gives you your measurements. So X is your red, Y is your green, you know, you get the idea. And you can play with that. Now, something I've been using a lot is I will get a 28 millimeter fig. This is a Hessian, and I've got a little centimeter millimeter aluminum ruler here that comes in a kit for using for architecture. And the nice thing about this is the 0, there's a little space between the base of the rule and 0, and that has actually worked out perfect for matching the base. And these are exactly 28 millimeter high, but it gives you an idea if you can measure the top of the building to the bottom of the building. And let's say I wanted to scale it down to 15 millimeter, I'd go get me a 15 millimeter figure. You see what I'm saying? And that helps you get an idea of the height that the building should be compared to the height of the figure. And I found that that's very helpful, because a lot of those conversion formulas you'll find online for 3D printers, I've tried those. Some of them it depends on the initial size of the building, which this one, in this case, this is 28 millimeters scale, right? So it just makes it so much easier if you can find files that are specifically written in the scale that you want. And again, I'll throw this out there in the search tab: 28 millimeter buildings, 15 millimeter buildings, and it'll pull those up for you. And you don't have to do a lot of conversion work, but you can do that. And something simple like this, square structures, round huts that I've printed, they're a lot easier to scale to size. I'm working on a coastal fortress for Black Seas, and I've been playing with that, you know, sorting out the scale by myself. So that's something to learn, and it's interesting. I've enjoyed it. And then here we got, we can put the circles, and I can rotate this by clicking on the blue. I can spin him around, right? And this is important when you pull a print off a Thingiverse and the building is too big or something doesn't fit right on the print. But when this turns red, when this guy turns red, he's printable. Now watch what I do here. If I go to my scale and scale him up, watch what happens. See, he doesn't turn, he's not red anymore. That means he will not fit on this print bed. So that's part of the search for finding a printer also, guys, is you'll find that most of the stuff I want to print for my purposes, this is a good size print bed for me. Can I print big X-Wings, 28 mil X-Wings and TIE fighters? No, not on this printer unless I could find them. And some of the files are like this. You can find maybe an X-Wing, I haven't found one yet, but I haven't even looked, that may have that print, and some of the files break the print up into smaller sections and you can just glue it together, right? So there are some of those I've seen with certain buildings, like large churches. They will actually break the print down in maybe like 12 different prints, and then you just assemble the church, right? So that's out there too. So just to let you know how this works. But I'm finding it a lot of fun. Now in my software, my Qidi software, or if you're using Cura's out there, what we have to do is, once I have everything set the way I want, I come down here to this lower right hand corner and it says prepare, right? So we click prepare, and you'll see it will start working. And they would have called this in the past on the older software, it would have said slice, because it's slicing the building up. And then you come over here to the Wi-Fi and it will say, see, I've got my X maker, there's my router number, and then I will click Wi-Fi send. It will work. You'll see the bar go across. It'll send it over to my printer, and then it will ask me, would you like to start printing? And now I've got my print bed already prepared. I put a little bit of stick glue on there, a thin layer of stick glue, and I've already sent it. My printer's already working on this file right now. So that's basically how this works. I've got a couple questions on, do you just, somehow get files on your 3D printer? No, you really should have either a nice laptop, a decent laptop. You should have, like, I have a nice PC here that's hooked up to the Ethernet. You could certainly use a tablet. Using a cell phone, I'm sure you could use the cell phone, but if you got a smaller cell phone, it's going to be so hard to work with that. and manipulate. So that's another factor to getting into 3D printing is, you know, do you have devices that will allow you to manipulate your software with your files? And then at some point, maybe I will get on, there's a lot of sites out there where you can buy files, you know, $2, $4. So yeah, that's down the road. I may do something like that. I think one of my big projects on the printer I'm going to do here over the next few weeks is probably start working on a castle of some sort, a fortress of some sort that I can print in sections. So yeah, so take that in consideration. Like with my editing software, we use Adobe, and I've always said do double what the system requires, what it says it requires to run the service or the software. That's always a good rule of thumb, because the minimum requirements for running software is typically the software will not run as smooth as it should, right? So I went overkill with this new system last year. I really doubled up and got a quad-core processor and a lot of RAM, like 32 gigs of RAM, right? So it helps it run fast, helps your software. You can run multiple softwares at a time, and it can handle it. When I replace this system, which is in the works, I'm going with a media system. It's specifically designed for processing media, right? So that'd be the top shelf. That's where I'm headed with this. So keep that in consideration when you want to get into 3D printing. I highly recommend the Qidi, $350, print out of the box in 30 minutes. I've checked the leveling of the bed a couple times. It's still level as level can be. So that hasn't changed. And honestly, this printer is a workhorse. A couple days when I was printing ship cards for Black Seas, it was just printing and printing and printing, and I would load another file and print and print. And the only problems I've had is, like I said, with picking files and scaling them down to a really small scale. Some of those files do not scale down. It just does not print right. The little dog I printed today, his legs were all janky and the details were off. And then I found a 28 millimeter wolf model that was in 28 millimeter scale right from the get-go on the print, and it's printing pretty good. Personally, this is my assessment of the situation, is I would not use a PLA printer. You're probably going to need to get up in the $500 to $1,000 range to probably get the best quality you're going to get out of PLA, but it has its limitations as far as the lining and the layering that you will see on the model. Is the detail as fine as it should be? No. That's where you'll see the pros are using the resin printers, right? Because you can get a lot more detail, but there's a lot more involved in resin printing, right? So if I had my heated workshop converted where I had ventilation in there and AC, and it was set up as like a clean room where things were really kept clean and dust free, and I were going to get into commercially printing, yeah, I would have to be running some resin printers for smaller, high detail prints. All right, I hope that helps, guys, and gives you a little bit more guidance as I travel through this journey too. This is just my third week of being in 3D printing, and just wanted to share some of my experiences and things that I'm doing and things I've learned just in that short time. It's a sharp learning curve, and you know where I might possibly go in the future, a couple years down the road. Maybe possibly setting up a print farm. I don't know. I'm having issues right now. I want to get a guest on my podcast, who runs a print farm, but I'm not getting a lot of takers because I just don't think they want to share their secrets, which I have made it clear. I'm not after secrets. I just want to give guys an idea of how profitable a print farm is, and I don't think anyone's wanting to talk. So either they're making really good profit or they're barely making profit, and they don't want to be called on the fact that, hey, I'm running a print farm, but I'm really not making that much money off of it. So I don't know. I'll keep throwing the bait out and see if anyone will come. If anyone is watching this video who actually runs a print farm, I'm not talking just a couple 3D printers. I'm talking guys, they're running 10, 20, 30 printers, and they've got a setup where these printers are just cranking, right? That's who I'm looking to find. So reach out to me. Put it in the comments below. Click on the Discord link in the description box. You can get me over there. You can send me click on my name. It'll give you a message bar where you can type me a personal message that only I will see. And feel free to reach out to me. Right? I'm not looking to pick your brain so I can become a competitor. Right? There's a lot of math that would have to be done to show me that this would be profitable, and how many machines you'd have to have, how much business you'd have to do. It's one thing to open up a bakery, guys, but if no one's coming in every single day and buying donuts, you're not going to make it. If they're only coming in on Saturday mornings and buying a few donuts, you'll go out of business. So when you get in any kind of business like this, with you're selling a product, it's going to come down typically to volume, right? So anyway, have a good one. Thanks for tuning in. Hit like, hit subscribe, get down there in that description box, click on that, smash that Discord link, get over to my Discord group. I've got everything categorized now. I even have an area in the Discord for 3D printing posts, so you can get right into 3D printing. You can ask other guys like me who are doing 3D printing questions, and hopefully we can help steer you in the right direction with any kind of problem you're having. All right, guys. See you next time. Ciao.